Hello there everyone, and welcome to the kind of walkthrough for this large-scale Clone Wars MOC. This is a MOC I've been working on for a little over a year now. I've actually have a whole kind of build series. I'll put the playlist kind of info card right now, and I'll put it in the description as well. So essentially, I kind of went by each episode and I kind of talked through what I was doing that episode, and I went kind of build log of how I built each thing and kind of updated kind of you guys as I went along for each section of the build here. And as you can see, it's a pretty big build, so there are quite a few episodes. I'll also put a link to the finale if you just want to watch that to get caught up on it. But essentially, I kind of went through and just documented over a year's worth of progress on how I built that. So if you're interested in that series, that'll be available. I also just got done with the cinematic video that'll also be available anywhere on the channel. And this video is just going to be me walking through kind of what the whole MOC is, and you kind of just get to hear me narrate while I go through this MOC. So anyway, essentially right off the bat here, for minifigures and story, Paul, my collab partner who helped me set up figures for this build, and he's also helped me, we've built together on all of our previous Brickworld MOCs. Here was kind of the story we came up with for the minifigures here. Essentially, this is obviously a very large separatist fortress here, so the clones were trying to assault this fortress, and the droids actually sent out a kind of counterattack defense system. So you can see the clones were starting to push up, and then the droids kind of sent a whole bunch of reinforcements. Now the clones all over here are trying to push up, but they got stopped by these new droid reinforcements, and now they're kind of trying to fall back into the village so they have more cover. So that's why there's a whole lot of droids over here, and the clones are kind of getting pushed back because the clones, their kind of assault got halted halfway through with these droid reinforcements. But as you can kind of tell over there on the right side of the build, the 212th, they were actually able to push up all the way to the mountain before the droids sent their second wave out. So you can see we've got a few clones trying to climb up the mountain, and a few of them have made it up with some jet troopers as well. So they're going up there to destroy kind of all that turbo laser up there, and then that bunker as well. So 212th was able to make it over there, but now they're kind of getting cut off by this second wave of reinforcements from the droids. So we've just got utter chaos, and then the village is also starting to get overrun here with some droids, and there's obviously, of course, some clone reinforcements trying to get up to the front. So it's just complete and utter chaos for this build, and that's kind of one of the key things that we wanted to capture, was that kind of Star Wars chaotic battle feel that you get on kind of Geonosis and Utapau from Episode 3 and some of those feels. So, but there's still some uniformed lines and everything. So I thought that was cool. Essentially what I'm going to be doing here is I'll start kind of in the village, and then I'll just kind of work my way up through the build into the mountain. And then I'll also cover the hallways at some point in this video. But for now, let's get started with the actual village. Alright, so we're down over here in the village area, and the main inspiration for this village was kind of some World War II vibes. So in particular, Stalingrad. I looked at quite a few Stalingrad pictures for reference for kind of this trench down here, like built into the building, and then that fountain right in the middle there is a direct reference from a fountain in Stalingrad, but recreated with droids for the Star Wars universe. And then lastly, that building back there is definitely a Stalingrad referenced kind of building right there with all the destroyed elements and everything like that. So we also have this main road which goes throughout the entire build. It also hooks back in here into the village. I thought that was kind of a necessary thing here. I thought it fit very well into the actual village itself, so I decided to include it there. We've got one building over here that's kind of completely destroyed on the right side. This one over here, kind of with this built-in trench. This one is partially destroyed on a couple sides, as you can tell, just some main battle damage going on throughout that. But there's also a trench kind of in the bottom here, as if there was a trench dug around the outside of the building. That was something I saw quite frequently in Stalingrad, was these trenches that were kind of ground level with buildings. So I definitely wanted to include that, and that trench kind of goes throughout a few more areas in the village right there. So there can be some fighting kind of in between the actual houses here. Next, we've got the entrance to the village here. I like to call this the security checkpoint. We've got two kind of towers right there, one on the right, one on the left. The one on the right is very destroyed, and the one on the left is still fairly intact right there. And then we've got kind of a gate, if you can kind of see right there, and those do open and close. So I can kind of show you that right now. So those can open and close kind of like that right there to allow people to walk in and out of the actual village itself. And then here's a little bit of a closer look at the actual buildings, keeping with that light gray and dark gray color scheme to fit the rest of the village, because that was the primary color scheme that I wanted to go for in this village area. Now moving on to the center of the village, you can see the droids have pushed up from the main path and have now entered the village, and the clones are trying to repel them to get them out of the village. We've got the fountain right there, which again I've said is a reference to a famous Stalingrad fountain, and I decided to try to remake that in Lego, but instead of using, they've kind of got actual, obviously, like people as the statues, I decided to recreate that with droids instead. I thought that would fit for the Star Wars universe fairly well, so I thought that was kind of neat. Right here is the main kind of center building for this village. It's got a cool little pattern right there. Again, in my update series, I go through kind of my process on this building. I think it's update 23 maybe, I'm not too sure. It's the longest one in the series, but essentially I go through this building and like these pillar designs right there. Some of the cheese slopes right there you can see I've used as railings kind of in the bottom there. And then, like I said, these pillars, and then this part up top, which is very, very battle damaged. I wanted to make it seem like the whole roof had been shelled out completely, so I've got a whole bunch of masonry brick in there, and then some kind of 1x1 bricks and studs and plates and all sorts of stuff to give it a kind of major battle damaged feel to it. This building is definitely my favorite one in the village itself. Just with the stairs and the pillars, I think it's definitely my favorite building out of the entire village. So this was kind of the main building that I wanted to show off in the village, so that's why I kind of put it in the center of the actual town here. And then here's just some different angles of the actual village here, and Cody right there taking out a droid. Got some clones taking cover kind of behind these buildings and pillars right there. More clones trying to push up the road, and then that one poor clone trooper who's stuck under there. And then we kind of go over this way, and we've got kind of what I showed earlier with the droids pushing into the village. And then, again, Magna Guard dragging a clone, and a clone getting shocked right there by a Magna Guard, but hopefully his buddy and Commander Cody will be able to take out the Magna Guard and push the droids back. And lastly, in the village, we've got this kind of large building. It's definitely the tallest building out of the village. And as you can tell, we've got our path here that kind of splits off in two directions. One over here that leads to the pond, and the other one that kind of goes into, theoretically, the rest of the village. So for this building, I wanted to make it like the most battle-destroyed building out of the entire village. So as you can see, lots of debris and everything in there. You can see kind of the structure of what was the large building, and then it kind of just got completely destroyed over time, and that's why there's all that debris with 1x1 kind of studs that are smooth, and a whole bunch of other kind of 1x1 round studs and plates and all sorts of stuff like that kind of in there to create a destroyed element, along with a bunch of 1x1 bricks on this right side. Down over here, you can kind of see I've built that up to make it seem like it was once standing right there. And then this is kind of the main building structure with multiple floors right there, and we've got a clone sharpshooter up there shooting out of the window. And then one thing that I wanted to add on this building was, as you can see, this is the floor right here, but it's actually been destroyed, so part of the floor of the actual building is actually falling down. So you can kind of tell right there it's slanted a little bit as if it's starting to fall off. So this building is not a very safe place to be for these clones, and that is exactly why this poor clone trooper down there is covered in rubble. He kind of was in an unfortunate spot, and he's kind of been, he's got all this debris on top of him now, so he's kind of stuck under there. I thought that was kind of a cool touch, but that's pretty much it for the village area. I'm going through all of this fairly quickly just so this video isn't super long, but it's probably going to be anyways. But again, if you want a more in-depth kind of discussion about these buildings and my thought process behind them or how I created them, again, the playlist for the whole MOC series is definitely there if you want to kind of get more details on all these buildings. And then, of course, the cinematic video will also have some close-ups of all these buildings. We're not really doing any close-ups. I'm just kind of giving a quick overview for anybody who hasn't watched the cinematic or the MOC update series to kind of show you kind of quick rundown on what the MOC is like. So there is the village. Definitely happy with it. I think it adds a lot to the build to kind of separate this build, so it's not just a bunch of terrain and like mountain work, It was definitely very nice to work on stuff that wasn't a battlefield for this build in terms of terrain and rock work. So had fun creating the village. There's a quick overview of it, and now we'll move on to the battlefield. I guess that'll be the next thing we move on to, so I'll go ahead and move on to that right now. And now it is time to go through the actual battlefield. Again, there are so many details with the actual build and the figures, so if you want to see a lot more of those, definitely check out the cinematic. But a brief run through here, we've got all the terrain kind of mixed in throughout here. We've got our reddish brown, dark tan, and a few olive green spots. That's kind of the main primary color scheme. We've got one trench right there. We've got a few different rock crevices, like little cracks in there and over there. And then we've got a pond over in the right side over there, using 1x1 kind of trans dark green cylinder pieces. And again, the clones are kind of taking heavy casualties here because the fortress has a bunch of bunkers in it and turrets shooting down at them, but they've also got to worry about this droid counterattack now, kind of coming back out to try to repel their initial assault on the actual fortress. So that's why there's so many droids kind of pushing up right here. And then we've got the 212th. Obviously, they were successful somewhat. They took a few casualties, but they were able to get over to this side of the mountain and are starting to push up the mountain. And then we've also got General Grievous facing off against Obi-Wan, and he's got one clone kind of stuck in his foot. He's kind of dragging him around, and then he's got another clone Grievous is grabbing one of the other clones and dragging him across the ground. So definitely Grievous being brutal 2003 Clone Wars style right there. That's definitely something I love from the 2003 Clone Wars is Grievous. And then you kind of can see it here. It's a little hard to see now with all the figures on it, but I've kind of shown this off a few times throughout the actual series. I decided to go with like a bunch of different plates with studs on them. So kind of the style, a lot of the style nowadays is kind of moving towards more of a flat, not necessarily flat, but kind of a smooth terrain with a bunch of tiles. I decided to go the opposite way. I wanted to give this lots of texture. This was originally going to go to Brickworld Chicago 2020 before that was canceled. So essentially this studded terrain in person kind of comes together like almost like a mosaic, where if you look at it, you kind of take a step back and look at it, it kind of catches your attention, and the studs kind of form together to create one texture. And that's kind of the cool thing about the studded terrain. So it's kind of hard to tell, but I really like the studded terrain, and I would recommend you guys try that out, and also try more of a tiled terrain to see which one you actually enjoy more. But I do enjoy the textured terrain. I think it adds a lot more when you're eye level, kind of looking down at the MOC, kind of from an eye level at the battlefield. So that was something I wanted to make sure to include in this build, was the textured terrain. Alright, so I'm going to quickly run through the clones right here. We've got our 327th troops over here, kind of trying to fall back. Some of them are trying to hold their ground, some are trying to get out of there. We've got our clones kind of still stuck in the trench. We've got a couple of them left right there. You can see I went with a kind of interesting design for the wooden planks down there on the edge of the trenches. Again, I go into more of that in the actual series, but just using a bunch of kind of 1x4, 1x6, 1x8 reddish brown tiles to kind of give it that wooden feel. So we've got a few clones trying to fall back, a few destroyed battle droids on the ground here. We've got one clone over here getting shot at by a dwarf spider droid there. More droids over here trying to push up, kind of trying to trap the clones in the actual village area. Again, nothing, you kind of go back here, more terrain work, more battle droids, and then like the main road right here, which again goes through pretty much the entire build, which is pretty cool. And then over here we've got General Kenobi and General Grievous, and then those poor clones who are being dragged all over the place by Grievous right there. And then over here we've got the pond. I was happy that I was able to include this because it kind of breaks up a lot of the terrain, so it's not just terrain for the entire battlefield. There's a little bit extra stuff to it, which would be this pond, and we've got a clone trooper in there who's kind of halfway in the water, kind of taking cover, shooting out of the pond. And then over here we've got a bunch of 212th guys trying to rush towards the mountain to kind of scale up it and get to the top of the fortress. We've got some clones fighting droids there. Love the 212th. I think it's definitely the 212th and the 41st definitely my favorite kind of clones. So we've got some various kind of clones kind of smashing droids with their rifles and kind of executing a lot of those droids who are still kind of operational right there. And then we've got some more supers, and then another droideka right here who is stepping on that poor clone trooper right there. And then he's also kind of firing at these other clones who are getting hit. Again, the droideka is actually showing them how effective they would actually be in a battle like this. And then again, more 212th and various clones. One clone trooper right there who was trying to scale the mountain, and he fell. So that's kind of why he looks like he's kind of like laying upside down, is because he just fell off the mountain. The main thing that I wanted to add, kind of get across in this actual section right here, was just kind of the, the 212th kind of got through the first wave right here of droids, so they're just kind of finishing off the droids. That's why there's so much kind of hand-to-hand stuff in terms of like the smacking of all the droids with the rifles and blasters. We've got one clone right there kind of holding a droid up as a shield and also trying to take him out. We've got another clone right there who ripped the head off of the droid's body right there. So we've just got some of the kind of closings of the previous wave, and then we've got the beginning of the second wave coming in here and starting to wipe out a lot of the clones. And then earlier I mentioned that the mountain has a lot of bunkers in it, so you can see two of them right here, kind of these bunkers with turrets in them, or battle droids in one of them, and then this closer one there's a turret. So they've kind of been shooting out at the clones. And then over there you can see one airborne trooper who actually was able to get a little bit up the mountain, and he is using a thermal detonator, and he's going to try to take out that bunker, so making it a little bit easier for the rest of his fellow clone troopers to climb up the mountain and kind of get to the mountain. So I thought that was also a cool detail. Again, I wanted to show the clones kind of somewhat trying to figure their way out through this, crazy battle where they are very kind of outgunned here with how much, they're salting the high ground, so that's always not fun. And then there's all these bunkers and everything they got to deal with as well. And then over here on the top of the mountain, we've got a few droids who are prone right there, and they're kind of shooting down over at the clones on the ground and in the village. And then we've got a few clones who were able to make it up. We've got a few jet troopers who were able to rocket up here and get up there, and then we've got some clones who are just now kind of crawling over the top of the mountain trying to get up here and help the jet troopers out. And then we've got some super battle droids here who are kind of shooting over at this jet trooper who is taking out one of those battle droids right there. And again, eventually their end goal here would be to take out this turbo laser. This turbo laser is kind of here, so the fortress has some sort of defense against any sort of Republic kind of Y-wings or bombings, like bombers that the Republic sends in. So that's what the 212th right here is trying to take out that turbo laser, so the Republic can send in some kind of air support here, and hopefully that'll help the clones in this battle. But again, we've got the droids kind of over here trying to defend that, and then the trans kind of light blue ceiling right here, which kind of makes it so you can see into the hangar. Again, I didn't want to make it just gray because the whole mountain was gray. I wanted to add some different color to it, so that's why I went with this kind of clear light blue pieces that I had a lot left over from the Siege of Mandalore from Brick World Chicago 2019. So I wanted to reuse those pieces, and I found a cool way to do them right here so you can kind of see into the hangar, and it feels very Star Wars-y. And then going over to this section over here, we've got another walkway, and we've got some more droid kind of positions where they're shooting down at the clones. We've got one of those sniper droidekas from the 2013 501st ATRT, I believe. I've always been a fan of those. I thought those were cool. So clones also have one of these sniper droidekas shooting down at them. So again, the clones having a very, very hard time just trying to get over up into this mountain, which is why taking out this turbo laser is so crucial for the 212th, so the Republic can call in some air support, and that'll help them change the tide of the battle. And then over here, we've got another bunker. This one was inspired heavily off of bunkers you saw during the Battle of Normandy and D-Day. So this was inspired by those German kind of pillboxes that were on the beach, like up on the hills on the beaches. More specifically, you've seen one in Saving Private Ryan. If you guys have seen that movie, that'll help you reference kind of what exactly I based this off of. And then we've got a droid in there who's got kind of a sniper slash machine gun thing. It's kind of like from the 2003 Clone Wars battle, where he's got like this sniper, but it's also like in rapid fire machine gun style. So that's kind of what that is. Another bunker that the clones are trying to take out there, because that thing is inflicting heavy casualties on the clones, because it is very concealed in terms of the droid in there's got a lot of cover, and it's obviously on the high ground. So very good position for the droids up here. This is definitely one of the strengths for the droids, is this whole kind of up top area where they can kind of shoot down at the clones no matter where they are at on the MOC. And there's nothing really super interesting about the mountain here, just a lot of slope pieces. And then you can see the fortress is kind of built into it with the hangar. So it all kind of comes together, and again, there's some kind of pillboxes and bunkers inside of the actual mountain there where the droids are manning some gunner positions to shoot out at the droids, but nothing too special about the mountain, just a lot of tedious rock work, but I'm very happy with the way it came out and the overall scale of the mountain. Alright, and down over here is one of my favorite parts of the MOC right here. I've got the hallways down here lit up with that green light to represent the same light that you see a lot of the times in the Clone Wars TV show with the Separatist hallways on their frigates and everything like that. So since this is a Separatist fortress, I wanted to make the hallways seem like they were from like that Separatist kind of feel that you see a lot of times in their ships. So that's why I went with the green kind of lighting for this hallway, and then the wall design also is representative of a design from EA's Battlefront 2 on like one of their Separatist capital ships. I took a design with some pillars and those cylinder pieces to kind of create that design again. One of the MOC update videos, I go in detail on how I made those and kind of what they actually look like up close. And then in the cinematic, I've got a bunch of different angles of all these different clone troopers. But essentially what's going down here is Commander Thorn and his shock troopers are trying to assault this, kind of push down this hallway, and they were met with some very heavy droid defenses. You can see in there's a couple of droidicas and a bunch of security battle droids that kind of were defending this hallway, and Commander Thorn's men were not expecting this much resistance, and they started to take a lot of casualties, as you can see there. Sorry, it's kind of dark in there, but there is a it's kind of dark, but back in there's a little entrance right there, a destroyed portion in the wall that leads to another hallway. I don't have lights in there, but you can see some of the clones were trying to fall back and did not make it. And then Commander Thorn is also in there. He's kind of trying to hold down with his kind of chain gun right there. And right in there is Commander Thorn with his chain gun. He is trying to clear the hallways. He might actually stand a chance here. Since some of those droids are all kind of in this narrow hallway, he might actually be able to take a lot of them out, but a lot of his other men were kind of wiped out in this battle, so there's not going to be very many shock troopers left with Commander Thorn if he is able to break through these defenses and push on to the fortress and the hangar. He's not going to have many men with him, but that's something that we wanted to include, was showing kind of how difficult this siege would be going for the clone troopers. So that's why there's so many clone casualties down here. They're just having a really hard time trying to get through this narrow hallway, especially if you think about it. They're assaulting, they're trying to go up against 2 droidicas, and those things are so devastating. Now imagine you're trapped in a narrow hallway with 2 droidicas plus a couple super battle droids and security battle droids, and there's not a whole bunch of cover. Like, those droidicas are just going to mow through everybody. So that was kind of the thought process of why the clones are taking so many casualties down here, is you don't really see, I think, how devastating the destroyer droids can be. So that was something we wanted to show, was how devastating those things can be to clone troopers, especially if they're trapped in a hallway. So here's the green lighted hallway. Is definitely one of my favorite parts of the MOC overall. And then if you continue on from the battlefield over past the main road and past the mountain, you've got this little entrance to the base over here, just some Separatist blue kind of pillars right there. There's a lot of Separatist blue in this. I call it Separatist blue, but it's just like the Lego dark blue. It fits that Separatist color that you see on kind of all the Separatist vehicles and stuff, like the AAT, so I wanted to include that in this build. And then down here we've got some 327th jet troopers who were able to kind of fly over the main battle droid kind of line. So that I showed earlier on the battlefield, they were able to jump over them, and then Ayla was also able to join them. So they're kind of trying to make a push through this area, and they're actually trying to push into this hallway down there. And then there is a hangar back there, I'll show you in a second. So they're trying to push in to the hangar and stop the Separatist kind of leader who is trying to make his way to a shuttle and escape. So Ayla and her 2 jet troopers are trying to push in to the hallway and trying to stop the Separatist leader before he can escape. And then the main thing in this Separatist kind of fortress is this hangar. So in this hangar, this was one of the more fun parts to actually build. This was something that was not included in the original plans for this MOC. It was kind of an impromptu thing that I was like, you know what? I really want to build a hangar, so I just decided to build a hangar in the fortress. So we've got a landing pad right there with a bunch of droids and a separatist shuttle, and then we've also got a separatist leader who's trying to run and kind of escape because the Republic showed up. And then we've got a bunch of droids trying to hold off Ayla Secura and those two jet troopers. And there's also a walkway up there you can see. I'll show you some more shots of that with all the lights off so you can actually see the string of lights that's up there. But this was something that I'm pretty proud of and really happy that I was able to include in the build. I've got the yellow landing pad right there. I was looking at a few more reference pictures and like the Bad Batch, like one of the main ones was the Bad Batch episode, the last one where the Republic assaults like the main kind of base. There's a bunch of yellow kind of platform kind of markings on the ground, so I decided to include that as the main marking for the actual hangar with the separatist shuttle right there, and that's kind of the main landing pad area of the hangar. Here's a little bit of a closer look at the hangar. We've got some kind of battle droids with boxes, so there's a bunch of crates and boxes. And then we've got some battle droids. Paul brought some of his custom droid marines over. If you guys have seen droid marines before, they're from the original Battlefront 2 game. They're a really, really sweet class in the game. So we've got some of them in the hangar. Got some more droids here kind of shooting down the hallway at Ayla Secura and those two jet troopers that I showed earlier. A few commando droids. And then there's the walkway and some steps and a few slopes that kind of lead up to the separatist shuttle. And then we've got our separatist leader right there. And he's kind of, he's got his, villain cape, and he's got some of the same headwear that Nute Gunray has. And he's kind of trying to run to the shuttle to get out of there so he doesn't get captured by Ayla Secura and the Republic. And then we've just got a few rocket droids and a few more kind of fuel barrels and crates. And then again, those blue, back over here, you can see those blue glass kind of trans light blue pieces. And some of the light actually reflects off those trans light blue pieces and gives the hangar kind of a blue tint. So I thought that was kind of a cool small detail. Again, fits that kind of separatist blue again. But I really like this hangar area. I think it makes sense that there's a hangar in the separatist fortress. And during the actual build series, a lot of people seem to like the idea of a hangar, and I got some good feedback from that. So that is the hangar for this main fortress. One of the main parts of the actual build here was this hangar area, and this is kind of the objective. Obviously, the clones want to get rid of this kind of fortress, but they also want to capture this notorious separatist leader who is kind of trying to flee from the battlefield. So there is the hangar. I've still got a wire down there that I didn't have time to hide, so don't worry about that wire. But there's the separatist hangar. I'll go ahead and show you guys what that looks like with all the house lights off, so you actually can see what the main walkway up there looks like with all the lights off. Alright, and this is what the hangar looks like with all of the house lights turned off. I actually have a strip of lights up there on the walkway that kind of lights up the hallway and then also gives a little bit of light to the hangar overall. So I definitely wanted the hangar to look good with all the like house lights off, and I wanted there to be some light coming from the hangar, so I decided to put them up in the walkway, and I think it looks pretty cool here, and it gives a nice interesting feel to the hangar. And with that light in there, you actually can see a little more of the actual walkway itself. I had a lot of fun putting that together. You can see I tried yellow. Again, I kind of did that with the hangar as well, but I thought the hallway was this little walkway was something I wanted to have visible during like if there was any lights off. So that's why I decided to put kind of these Lego lights inside of the walkway to kind of give it that shine and make sure you can actually see the walkway design. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for this walkthrough. I tried to go through things fairly quickly because I knew this video was ultimately probably going to be somewhat long because there's a lot to cover. So I did leave out a lot of small details on the actual MOC. So if you are curious about that, again, I keep plugging it. Sorry, it's getting annoying, but I do have the cinematic video out if you want to check that out, and the MOC series that I've been working on for the past year. So if you are curious as to more details on this MOC that I didn't really cover in this walkthrough, just because I'm trying to go through this fairly quickly so you guys get a good, nice overview of the MOC if you haven't seen it already. And if you guys have been following the MOC update series or have seen the cinematic video, one last look here at the actual mock. I'm very sad to have to call it right here and start to disassemble this mock, but the time has come. I've spent a whole year working on this, and I'm very, very happy with the end result. I hope you guys like it. I hope you enjoyed all of the videos for the mock update series and the cinematic and this walkthrough. In the comment section below, leave your favorite part of the mock. That would be very helpful and good to know moving on to the next mock series. I would kind of like to know what exactly you guys liked about this mock. What was your favorite part of the mock? What was some things that you think I could improve on? All sorts of helpful feedback that you guys always leave me. Definitely feel free to put those in the comments section below. So I don't want to end the video, because if I end the video, that means I'm done with this mock and I have to start taking it apart. I usually don't have such a hard time like taking these things apart. Usually I'm ready to be done with them, but for some reason this one has a very special place in my heart, and I'm getting quite sad the thought of having to take this thing apart is making me quite sad. But I need the parts to work on the next build series, and I need to start on that very soon so I can start getting videos out more regularly again. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I appreciate, again, I said in the finale video, but I appreciate all you guys who have been watching. If you've been watching the series since the beginning or the middle or the end, or if you've left any comments or even just watched the video, it means so much to me, and this is one of the most fun things I've ever done from a creative standpoint, and this was my favorite thing I've done on YouTube. So, and again, that's all because of you guys and your feedback and comments and suggestions, all your awesome ideas that you had on every single video and all the interactions we had. I just had so much fun with this mock, so I have to stop myself. I gotta call it. Gosh, I can't believe it's done, it's built, and now I gotta take it apart already. Oh man. All right, so again, any feedback, definitely feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed the mock. Yeah, I guess that's about it. I'll be announcing the next mock very soon, the next large scale mock, and I'm very excited for that. But in the meantime, if you haven't checked out any of the other Clone Wars MOC update series videos, feel free to check those out. I'll leave all the links everywhere in the description and info cards and everything like that. And also stay tuned for the Project Nightfall series. I've been working on that. I'm getting into that again, so stay tuned for those videos as well. And one last look, guys, say goodbye to this mock. It's been so much fun. Big salute to the mock, big salute to you guys for all the supports, and yeah, I guess that's it. I hope you guys have a great day, and may the Force be with you always.